I'm your man out of Japan, Jay Contra, and if you'd like to see exclusive videos about Japanese video game collecting, you can head over to my Patreon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Quarantine Bunker Studio. I am your man, not in Japan, Jay Contra. And we are here going into Super Potato. This is actually the fourth floor of Super Potato. Well, really, it's the second floor. It's a bit confusing. This is the floor with the N64 games, GameCube, all the sort of the more modern retro stuff, I guess you could say. We're going to be going through the showcase today. For reference with the prices, I want to say when I'm filming this, it's about 107 yen to the dollar. I'm probably going to be rounding it out to 110 yen to the dollar. And something you also need to know is that Super Potato includes the price of tax in its games. So the sticker price that you're looking at, that is the price that you will be paying at the register. And I don't think Super Potato does tax-free though, actually, weirdly enough. So let's just get started. We've already, even just getting started, I had labeled this video Super Potato N64, although jumping through it a little bit, there's a couple of extra things. But you'll see there on the left is the Super 64. It's an HDMI upscaler that you just plug into the back of the N64. Here is going for about $200, which is apparently really expensive compared to when I was looking it up on Amazon. Although I actually really couldn't find it anywhere. According to reviews, it's okay. Man, I don't really think you should be playing an N64 on an HD television anyways, because it's not gonna look good however you play it. In the middle, from the glare, I can't even see what that is in the middle. And then on the side, we've got an all blacks special edition Game Boy Advance SP. I want to say this is not Japanese, considering that it doesn't have any Japanese on it. Rugby isn't that popular in Japan anyways. There are rugby teams, a little bit popular. But it's going for, Jesus, that's way more than I thought. That's going for about $1,500 for an all blacks Game Boy Advance SP. I wonder if it's the 101 that has the brighter backlit screen, but I can't tell. Japan did not get the Game Boy Advance SP 101. But you do see it. I think it was only released in like America and maybe Europe. But when you see it in Japan, it's even more expensive. It's like crazy expensive in Japan. And like special edition Game Boy Advance SPs are just crazy expensive in general. Like, look at these bad boys. So, all right, what are we looking at? We're looking at three different. So we're looking at the Famicom Game Boy Advance SP. I actually have one of these myself. It was one of the first things I bought when I went to Japan. Like 8 years ago, and I bought that for like 4,000 yen. It was like $40. It was like not that big of a deal. But as time has marched on, the SP has in and of itself become much more expensive in Japan, and then the Famicom, all the special edition ones have gotten even more expensive. So let's break this down. Why are we seeing two different prices? We're seeing on the top, we've got the Game Boy Advance SP that's going for, $180 on the top. And then we've got one that's going for $130 on the bottom. So on the top, let's see. Apparently the Game Boy Advance, looking at that label on the top left, the kanji says Hontai. That means anything wrong with the system itself? No, looks fine. The Gamen on the bottom left, of the label, that's talking about the screen. Don't see anything, looks like it's fine. On the right, then it just says like notes. Apparently the box has a few scratches, and actually if you look over here, yeah, you can see my mouse. If you look over here, there's some edge wear. That seems to be the only problem with this. So if you don't care about the box that much, this is almost in perfect condition. But looking at these other ones down here, looks like my face is obscuring this, so you're just gonna have to trust me on this one. But apparently, the one on the left had the SP itself has scratches, and then it's apparently started to yellow, which is it's made out of plastic, and the white plastic that too is just going to yellow. That's just what's going to inevitably happen to most, if not all, white plastics, particularly on game consoles. And then also the box and the manual have some damage to them. And this is another thing where if you're at Super Potato and you want to buy this, just go up to the counter, say you want to they'll take it out for you. You can inspect it. 140 these days, $130 isn't actually that expensive if you're lucky, sometimes if you go to like say a hard off or to a non-specialty store that sells Game Boy Advances, you sometimes find a Game Boy Advance SP Famicom Color for like the price of a regular Game Boy Advance because they don't know what they have. Super Potato, they know what they have. That's why it's going to cost more. And the one on the right, interestingly enough, is Yakeari. That must mean, yeah, okay, look. See, if you see here, I hope you can see this mouse. It looks like it might have been, like it probably got like burned by the sun, or I mean burned. It's like just the UV radiation fading the box. So it's possible it was like underneath some fluorescent lights, or it was just left out in the sun for a little bit. It's just what, again, it's just light is gonna kill everything. So that's just what's gonna happen. And then looking at this Game Boy Color. This, to me, looks like an American Game Boy Color because Japanese Game Boy Colors complete in box go for about $100 maybe, or maybe this lime green one is special edition. But just looking at the box itself, although I think American and Japanese Game Boy Color boxes look about the same. Unless this is a special edition, I want to say this is American and it's going for $400. And I could not tell you why. Maybe because it's in like mint condition. Maybe this is something you would get graded, but you shouldn't be grading a portable console. That's just my opinion. But if you want to and you want a good grade, you could probably get this one. And then we have a Game Boy Micro, a Game Boy Advance Micro. It's not even the system itself. It's just the faceplate is going for $40. That's wild. Absolutely wild. Okay, moving over. Wow. All right, we got some. This is some of the most expensive portable stuff I've ever seen because we're looking at what looks to be in very good condition Game Boy. Just this is the first Game Boy, the white brick or the gray brick. It's going for $180. I'm seeing as there's no notes here, the console itself and everything else seems to be fine, except apparently there's some scratches on the screen. It's probably not that bad. Again, you can inspect it before you actually buy it. That's not so. Super Potato in general, if this is your first time seeing a video or hearing about Super Potato is, I want to say, generally more expensive. Not always, but generally more expensive than the other shops in Akihabara. And I should mention, I guess I didn't mention that this is the Super Potato in Akihabara. There's a bunch of other locations in Osaka, and there's one in Ikebukuro. This is the Akihabara location. This is probably going to, if you go to Tokyo, this is going to be the one you're going to want to visit. Although if you have time, you should visit the other ones anyways. It has what I like to call, and what maybe some other people like to call, the tourist prices, where you don't really see Japanese people buying things from this shop. You do. It's pretty famous. It was in Persona, pretty much, or a parody of it was in Persona 5. So it's well known in Japan, but I think Japanese collectors know that the better deals are elsewhere. I don't want to say Super Potato is always more expensive than the competition. It just usually is. So what have we got? On the bottom left, we've got a pink Game Boy Advance, translucent Game Boy Advance going for $150. I don't think I've ever seen a pink one before, so maybe it's limited edition. Usually Game Boy Advances, maybe $60 these days. I mean, complete, maybe $60. So maybe it's a special one that I've not seen. And then look at that bad boy on the top left. We've got the Toys R Us exclusive. Looks like American Pikachu, and it says now with a brighter backlit screen. So I'm going to assume that's a 101, meaning, that did not come out in Japan. That's going for $900. That's crazy. Wow. And then next to it, this is a whole panoply of expensive stuff. We've got the Game Boy Light that is, is it like a Famitsu edition? It's an Astro Boy Game Boy Light. So if you're not familiar with the Game Boy Light, so you've got the Game Boy, the fat big one. You've got the Game Boy Pocket. And I think after the Game Boy Pocket came out the Game Boy Light, which is actually the first ever official backlit Game Boy. It's just a regular black and white Game Boy, monochrome, but it does have that backlight to it. So this is going for $270. I think these days that's actually not terrible. Regular Game Boy Lights tend to go for about $200, even if they're really scratched up. And looking at this one here, oh, wow. Okay, sorry. Now, so I'm starting to read the labels on some of these. I'm looking at the pink one. Bakuraito Shio. Oh yeah, so this pink one right here, this has actually been upgraded to have a backlight to it. So Game Boy Advances, if you're not familiar with them, the original Game Boy Advance did not have a backlit screen. It's a real pain pain in the butt. I remember when I was a kid with my Game Boy Advance, I actually had the worm light that you would plug into the top of it. You would plug into the connector cord or the trading cable. You'd plug it into that slot and it got enough power to where you'd have the light come down. But you needed that accessory. Otherwise, you were like trying to like point angle the Game Boy towards the nearest light source so you could actually see the screen. So that's wow. I've never seen that before. Not in a shop. And then we've got so Game Boy Light, yeah, very rare. And then we've got the Game Boy Color, the gold Pokemon Center one. Man, I remember seeing this years ago for like $100, and I thought it was expensive then. This one's going for $250. Apparently, there's some scratches on the console itself, and the screen is very scratched up. Although you cannot see it here, it doesn't look too bad. Just looking at it on the surface, but maybe there's some stuff up on the back. And then looking here, we've got the orange Pokemon Center limited edition Game Boy Color. I think, yeah, I believe I've seen this in the box go for, in like the countryside, like $150. So to see it here loose for $250, like, yeah, you're really going after like the hardcore collectors with that one. Whoa, my gosh. All right, so this is some big stuff here. So on the bottom, we've got the Famicom edition Game Boy Micro. Much like the Game Boy Advance SP, the Game Boy Micro has gone out of control to the point where I remember when I first went to Japan, I picked one up for like 6,000 yen for about like $50, $60. Although I think at the time the yen was actually really strong, so it was really like $80. Now they go for about 200, I want to say. I had like a pink one that I think is worth $200 now. This one is new, meaning it's never been opened before, and it's the Game Boy, or it's the Famicom version, which would already be a very expensive variant of the Game Boy Micro. I don't even know how much it would be if it was used. Being $700 does not surprise me. That might actually be a good price for a never opened Game Boy Micro. Next, on the top, we've got Final Fantasy IV Advance. I actually just beat this. I actually just played this a couple weeks ago. Final Fantasy IV is, if you haven't played it, is absolutely phenomenal. I would highly recommend playing it. I actually think it might be my favorite Final Fantasy. And the Final Fantasy IV for the Advance might be the definitive version for me. Just because playing it's portable. The ones that like the re-releases that have come out in subsequent years, just the graphics look really weird. This seemed the Game Boy Advance Final Fantasy IV I feel is the most true to the Super Famicom version, and like it's a beautiful Game Boy Advance. It's this micro. Oh, I thought it was an SP. Okay, but yeah, micro it's $400. It's $380, I suppose. Oh wow, and then. So to the right, we've got, it's a Game Boy Micro only trading cable. I didn't know it had man, the Game Boy Micro is such a weird system because for one, the Game Boy Micro, it can only play Game Boy Advance games. It's not backwards compatible with previous Game Boys. It has a unique charger and apparently a unique link cable to the point where the cable is $50. Just for the cable, whereas a Game Boy Advance cable, you can get it in the junk section for like $1. That's, wow. I'm blown away by that. And these, Jesus, oh my God. Oh, this is, so when I talk about Super Potato overcharging for things, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Here we've got 4 copies of the original green. So if you don't know, when Pokemon came out in Japan, it was the red and the green version. Blue would eventually come out later in Japan as sort of like a almost like an international version, because the sprites in Japan red and green are completely different from the sprites that we got outside of Japan. And then the blue version that they released in Japan included those new updated sprites. Now, green and red, man, I actually bought my original copies of red and green from Super Potato like 5-6 years ago, and they were expensive then at like $25. This is before the Pokemon Go craze hit. Seeing these at 60, this is $60 for pretty much all of these. Yeah, for, I mean, one's like 6,900 yen. The cheapest is 6,000 yen. So it's about 55 to $65, depending on your condition. Some of the boxes have, you can see here, if my face isn't blocking it out, you can see here there's some edge wear. Looks like this one over here that my face is blocking out. This one doesn't have the map. And yet the price is still kind of high, and you can see, look at that bulge there. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. All right, I'm getting off track here. They're all in different conditions. You should not pay $65. You should not pay $60 for a copy of Green. First of all, Green is the Game Boy version that no one wants. Everyone wants red because red is better. Second of all, Green, you could probably find it at Trader for like $30, maybe even $35. I don't believe it's that expensive. I've seen them at hard offs in the Tokyo area for like $25 to $30. So I really would not, unless you have zero time and you really, really want Pokemon Green, don't buy it at Super Potato. And actually, probably from here is when I'm going to really start complaining, because I looked at the other prices on all their stuff, for especially their Game Boy stuff. It's just ridiculous. Looking at the other stuff, we've got, what is that? Yokai Den. That's going for about $35. I cannot see what is that? Oita GB? I don't know what that is. It's a Nintendo Power. So in Japan, just a side note, in Japan, they got Nintendo Power, but it was their branding whereas in America it was a magazine. In Japan, Nintendo Power meant a system of rewritable cartridges where you would get like you would get a blank cartridge that was white, and you would take it to a convenience store. I believe it was Lawson at the time. And they had these machines where you would plug in your cartridge. This existed for the Super Famicom, by the way, but also for the Game Boy. Here it's the Game Boy. You put the cartridge into the machine, and you download the game to that cartridge. And I think sometimes you could get a sticker that you could like put on the cartridge, or put on maybe like put in a book or something to keep track of what your cartridge was. This is Oita GB. There are all kinds of games that came out for the Game Boy and the Super Famicom. Big ones. Like for the Super Famicom, like Thracia 776, the Fire Emblem game, was on the Nintendo Power. I know Dracula X also came out on the Nintendo Power, although it had a physical release. A Game Boy I'm not familiar with, so I don't know what Oita GB is. Down here, there's a Game Boy. Is that Game Boy Wars Turbo? $110 for Turbo? So if it's the same, I don't know if this is a special version or not, but there's a... So like Game Boy Wars is part of the Wars series, Advance Wars. Absolutely love that strategy series. There's a basic Game Boy Wars, and then there's Turbo, which speeds everything up because the original games are real slow. The Game Boy Turbo, if it's the one that there's a bunch of Hudson games that came in a tin case, like a little, almost that you would like get gummies in. Like there was a Japanese candy that's famous for being in a little tin that they still make to this day. Hudson also released a bunch of games in that style, including Game Boy Wars Turbo. If it's the one I'm thinking, that's not worth more than $20. Like, so I don't know what's going on here. Maybe this is a special version. I don't know. And then we've got, whoa. What is that? Is that Super Robot Tyson? It's $600? That's so in I want to say the early 2000s. Yeah, I want to say it's the early 2000s. I'm not sure the exact dates. Famicom nostalgia was starting to get back in Japan. So they released a bunch of Famicom games. They ported them to the Game Boy Advance. This includes like Super Mario Brothers, Castlevania, I want to say Metroid as well, a bunch of other games. They released them on Game Boy Advance cartridges. This I've never seen before, so seeing it for $600 does not surprise me. I wonder if you can get it cheaper somewhere else, but then again, I've never seen it. And then here's a new Game Boy Color game that I've never seen, so I don't know about that. What are we looking at here? Wow, okay, so this is, I think, when we get to the really intimidating part of Super Potato, because you'll go to it's this massive showcase on the fourth floor next to the register. And then you just see, at least with these, you've got like cool like text and pictures. But when you go to like the PlayStation, it's just black text on a white background, and you're like, I don't know what any of this stuff is. Even if you can read Japanese, you're like, the letters are so small. Here you've actually got nice and beautiful sides, so it's not so bad. But when you look over here, you've got what is this? Castlevania Legends 2, or whatever they called the Game Boy Advance, or the Game Boy Color, or no, not even Game Boy Color. That was the third one. These are the regular Game Boy releases. Man, $70 for the first one. What is that? $80 for number 2. Wow. Ranging from about 70 to about $80 depending on condition. Any of these I recognize? Oh, here's Contra. $150 for Contra in the box. I bought it for like oh no, there's like 2 Contras for the Game Boy. I remember buying one for like $10 loose. 150. My God. Ghostbusters 2 going for $40. Go Ackman going for $55. Prince of Persia going for $80. Rockman World is $70. Rockman World 2 is like $85. Rockman World 4 is going for about $75. Wow, look at that difference. Let's look at that. What's the difference here? So this is $50 for this copy of Rockman World 2. And then you've got this copy that's going for $80. So this $80 copy, there's problems with the box. The color is starting to fade. This cheaper one, much cheaper, by about $30. Problems, damage to the box, damage to the manual, and something that I can't read the kanji for, whatever this is. But that doesn't seem like this. Look at that. Just look at the difference on these. It looks like maybe there's some edge wear. I don't know if that's the glare from the plastic or not. Those don't seem, it looks a little bit more faded. That might also just be the camera. Can't tell. But yeah, save yourself $30 and buy this cheaper one. If condition isn't that important to you, you might be able to get a deal that way. I would say you're better off trying to find a similar condition at Mandarake, because they really slash the price based on condition. Super Potatoes seems to more increase the price if it's better in condition, whereas Mandarake will decrease the price if it's in worse condition. Anything else? And then Rockman World 5 going for, anywhere from, so $90, well, like $85. $85 for the top condition one. Not perfect condition, but the best one that they have is $90. And then the one that they have in worst condition is $60. Man, that's, I did not realize that Super Potato really had that big of a variance based on condition. Anything else interesting here? We've got Ganbare Goemon. That's $45. Well, $42. It's the J Contra math. Then we've got R-Type DX going for $70. There's actually a whole library of shooters for the Game Boy that I would love to play. R-Type would be absolutely fantastic. Just portable shooters are really what I'm really interested in those. Just haven't gotten around to them. Anything else? Nothing else that I recognize. I'm not really that into the Game Boy. Like, there are some Game Boy games that I really love, like Seiken Densetsu, but I'm not that good with Game Boy stuff, especially the rare stuff. So here we go. Here we've got some of the rarest N64 games, including Bangayo, which actually I thought, you can actually get a deal here. It actually isn't too bad. All right, so let's start from the right. You'll see Bomberman 64. This is a bit famous, infamous, however you want to say it, because Bomberman 64 is the last game released for the Nintendo 64 in Japan. This is actually, I think, released on the PlayStation as Bomberman Land. The first 2 or 3 Bombermen for the N64 were 3D. Bomberman 64 in Japan is a 2D sort of like collection of mini games that's very fun, and I'd actually recommend playing it if you love import N64 games. Because this was not released outside of Japan, at least for the N64. I don't know if Bomberman Land got released for the PlayStation outside of Japan. But man, again, look at that spread. It's $120 for the one on the left. For this one over here, it's 13,000 yen, and then we've got save $50. Get this one, box is beat up a little bit, and there's a problem, and there's an issue with the manual. It's just some damage to the manual. Doesn't look like it's that big of an issue. I would much rather have this copy of the game if I was going for a complete set. And same goes for this box. Looks a little bit more beat up, to be fair. Let's see. Here we've got this copy here of Bangayo. Absolutely phenomenal. One of the best, not only import games for the N64, one of the just best games for the N64, period, even though it does lag. A better version came out for the Dreamcast. Bangayo is a great sort of platformy kind of shooter, really funny. It's a great game. You've got this copy going for about $160. I remember when I paid $70 for this, and I thought that was expensive at the time for like a mint copy. You can see here issues with the box. You can see that edge there. I think Bangayo is a bit famous because it had a really low print run on the N64. It got like 10,000 copies, and it's really good, and it's treasure, so people really want it. Here we've got a copy that's $130. And then we've got a copy that looks like it's maybe 120, I want to say. I would just get this copy. It doesn't look so bad. It looks perfectly fine, and it plays. Like, if you just want to play this game, you probably should even buy it loose. It's even much cheaper. And then we've got, hopefully I can see move past the glare. How much is that Biohazard 2? Let's go back a little bit then. Yeah, all right. I think I want to say it's 70. Actually, if this is $70, that's not bad for Tokyo. Resident Evil 2 is definitely like the third or fourth most expensive N64 game. If you're out in the provinces, if you're out in the boonies, you can get it for like less than $50. But finding it for $70 in Tokyo is not bad, even though the box is really roughed up, apparently, according to the label. And then Pachinko 3, so it's Pachinko 365 nichi. It's like Pachinko 365 days. Like a Pachinko game that's $40. Like, for some reason, there's a bunch of N64 games now that have really just, like, ever since I completed my set and stopped caring for years, and now that I've sort of come back into it just to see the prices. There's a couple of games that just came out of nowhere, like Beetle Adventure Racing, which is now like a $100 game for no reason that I can see. This, like a Pachinko game being $40, like, you can find this loose for like $3 at a hard off if you're lucky. But apparently now it's become collectible in the cities. And then we've got Donkey Kong 64 includes the memory cartridge, going for like $50, and the memory card itself is like easily $20. So it's not terrible, complete in box. But this is something you can maybe find $30-$40 if you're lucky. And then we've got, okay, here's the other one. Woo! All right, so we get the big one here, and this is probably where I think we'll leave things. So on the right, you've got is that Snowboard Kids 2? I know in America it's really cheap. In Japan in America it's very expensive. Strike that, reverse it. It's very expensive in America, very cheap in Japan. This is a loose game that you'll find for maybe $10. Complete in box, I guess that price delta is quite large, so it's going for about $50, even though the label's faded a little bit. Then you've got Sin and Punishment, highly recommended if you haven't heard of it. Absolutely phenomenal shooter that really, the thing about, and I really want to do a review of Sin and Punishment, even though there's like tons of them already. But Sin and Punishment just really gets me in that sort of like, I think it came out in like 2000, I want to say. But it gets me in like what the late 90s sci-fi anime. That's like the best way I can describe it. And like that vision of like future Tokyo, but it's like sort of like a like post-apocalyptic. It's like, it just gets you right in that, like, oh man, this is what I was watching when I was like 12 years old on Toonami. It gets you right in that feel. That's the feeling that Sin and Punishment gives me. $90 is crazy expensive. Although these days it's getting more and more expensive. I would maybe try and look around for like a $50 or $60 copy. I would save, you could easily save $30 on this. Star Soldier is like the one scrolling shooter that exists for the N64, I think. I've never actually played it yet. But this is going for, you don't see it in the box. You can find it loose quite easily. But in the box, maybe $65. Maybe that's an okay price. To its left, we've got Zool, which I want to say is an N64. Oh, did that come out for the PlayStation? I know it's exclusive to the N64 in Japan. I don't know if it came out abroad. It's sort of like a monster collector. It's sort of like like Monster Rancher, I want to say, is maybe the closest comparison, where you just like get monsters and you raise them and you fight them. It's a cute game. It's fine. It's like it's $53. Yeah, probably maybe find it cheaper. And especially when all of these games you'll find much cheaper loose. I should note. And then GoldenEye 007. I really want to get this in the box just because the box for this is phenomenal. And actually $60 or it's like what 55. It's not terrible. Like this used to be even loose. This used to be like a $30 game. I think even today you can find it cheaper loose. $50 isn't that bad for a complete copy of GoldenEye in Japan. And then we've got Get or Love. This is the most expensive N64 game. It's here. It's going complete, not in perfect condition, but in fine condition. It's going for, what is that? $270. You'd be lucky to find it for $200, but then again, you just don't see it because it's so rare. It's a Hudson game that came out. I can't remember the year. It's sort of like if you combined Mario Party with a dating simulator, where you like play against three. It's a 4-player game. You basically just like run around a town and you try to like hook up with just girls. And the way you hook up with them is you have to compete with your friends in little mini games. It's really fun. I actually did a review of it like, oh my God, like 6 years ago, back when I was doing import N64 reviews. It's really good. I don't believe it's worth $270. I bought it when nobody wanted it for like $20. I didn't regret it then. $270 is a bit steep. Even $200 if you were lucky is still like really expensive. And then you've got, what is this? It's like Legend of the Flying Fist or Legend of the Flying Dragon. I can't remember what it was in English. This is one of those games where it's like it came out in 2 versions. One of them is like the more kiddie, cute fighter. And then the other one is like the more grown-up Street Fighter version. The kiddie one is much better and a lot more fun. This one, I can't tell. Oh, it's SD, super deformed. Okay, this is the cute, fun one. Don't get the regular version of this. It's not good. This one is good. It's a cheap game loose. I wouldn't, $50 in the box. I don't know. Just buy it. It's like a $10 game, even cheaper than that if you find it at Hard Off. All right, I've been going for half an hour. We've even got, like, this is only half of the showcase, and I think I even took more footage in this Super Potato. There's a lot of games in here. Yes, it's going to be more expensive, and we're going to see some really, really high prices on this stuff. But the thing about Super Potato is, and I say this all the time, is, yeah, for one, you need to shop elsewhere. You need to look. Maybe Super Potato does have the best price. I know on, like, Dreamcast and Sega Saturn stuff, for a while, Super Potato had unbeatable prices. For the other stuff, not so much, not for the Nintendo stuff, but for everything, you got to shop around, look at the different prices. When you're able to go back to Japan, I'll recommend going to a bunch of different shops. And also, compare based on condition, compare based on price, and also, if you can't find it elsewhere, this may be cheaper than going to eBay. So keep that in mind when I talk about just how god-awful some of the prices at Super Potato and the prices on these things can be bad, but they're not always bad. So I've been your man out of Japan, Jay Contra. This has been Super Potato. Thanks for watching, and a big mahalo to all my Patreon supporters.